Mae coedwigoedd gymaint yn fwy na choed yn unig. Mae coedwigoedd yn hanfodol yn y frwydr yn ebyn newid hinsawdd. Hanfodol i wella ansawdd aer. Gatref i filoedd o blanhigion ac anifeiliaid. Gwella coetir er mwyn creu asedau twristiaeth a masnachol gwerthfawr. Adnodd dysgu gwych. Gwraidd llawer o straeon a chwedlau. Hwb mawr hyn iechyd a'n lles, lle hudolus i fynd ar teulu, a chymaint mwy. Yng Nghymru mae gennym gynlluniau uchelgeisiol i greu coedwig genedlaethol a fydd yn rhedeg ar ledled y wlad trwy ecosystem gysylltiedig o goetiroedd hynafol a rhai newydd. Bydd y Coedwig Genedlaethol i Gymru yn perthyn i bob un ohonom ac o fydd i ni i gyd. Ein unig fydd hi i'w chreu, ein unig fydd hi i'w meithrin, ein unig fydd hi i'w choleddu am flynyddoedd i ddod. Bydd yn amddiffyn ein gwlad ac yn rhoi ffordd fwy cynaliadwy o fyw ar gyfer cenedlaethau'r dyfodol. Dyma'ch Coedwig Genedlaethol, byddwch yn rhan ohono. Forests are so much more than just trees. Forests are crucial in the fight against climate change. Vital to improving air quality. A home to thousands of plants and animals. Enhancing woodland into valuable tourism and commercial assets. A great learning resource. The basis of many myths and legends. A great boost for our health and well-being. A magical place to take the family. And so much more. In Wales, we have ambitious plans to create a national forest which will run the length and breadth of the country through a connected ecosystem of ancient and new woodlands. The National Forest for Wales will belong to and benefit us all. It will be ours to create. It will be ours to cultivate. It will be ours to cherish for years to come. It will protect our country and provide a more sustainable way of life for our future generations. This is your national forest. Be part of it.
Shwmai, prawn da chi. Croeso mawr i chi gyd wrth gwrs ar gyfer ein digwyddiad I drafod Coedwig Genedlaethol I Gymru ac I glywed eich safbwyntiau, cwestiynau a'ch lleisiau chi. Good afternoon to you all. My name is Chris Jones. Welcome to you all this afternoon to the second day of this very special event on the National Forest of Wales, of course, and to hear your views and voices. This is the fourth session, I think, over the course of 3 days. And again, we have a wide mix of people from all fields on this virtual stage as well. Diolch I chi gyd am gyfrestru. Ac wrth gwrs fydd yna gyfle I bawb gyfrannu yn y Gymraeg, wrth gwrs, ac yn y Saesneg. So, as Dusty Springfield, let's think one song, what's it all about? Well, I'm sure that most of you are aware that the First Minister, Mark Drakeford, of course, announced his intention to develop this National Forest for Wales in his manifesto commitments in 2018. And last year, 12th of March 2020, the First Minister officially launched the National Forest Programme. So let's have our keynote address for this afternoon. It's a pre-recorded message from the Director of Environment and Marine at Welsh Government, and his name is Mr. Gian Marco Currado.
Bore da pawb a chroeso. Good morning everyone and welcome to our National Forest event. I'm really pleased to open today's session, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your views and your thoughts. And first of all, I'd like to thank you all for attending this session. Some of you will have been here for the whole 3 days, some of you only for one session, but it's really encouraging to see how many people are interested in this National Forest project. As you know, tackling the climate emergency and restoring biodiversity are key priorities for the Welsh Government, and the National Forest project is at the heart of these efforts. And the last year has shown all of us how important nature is to our mental and physical well-being. Now, the National Forest is an ambitious long-term programme creating networks of woodland across Wales helping to capture and store carbon, provide a timber resource, and providing spaces for nature and leisure for all of us to enjoy. And we've made some amazing progress in this first year to kickstart the programme, including a number of projects you'll hear about today, which have helped us to test new ways of working and funding mechanisms. There will also be some exciting opportunities coming up over the next year. The First Minister announced yesterday a new project to award National Forest status to exemplar woodlands across Wales and create some new ones. The intention is to launch this scheme early in the summer, and therefore I would urge all of you to think about whether your woodland could already be a National Forest exemplar or could potentially, following some improvements, meet those criteria. More details will follow on the scheme in due course. As I said, I very much look forward to hearing all the views that you have, the discussions that are going to happen today and over the course of the event, and we will obviously listen very attentively and feed all of that into our thinking on developing this project. Diolch yn fawr.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn, Mr. Currado. Now then, we're eager that you tweet. If you are a Twitter fan, please tweet using the hashtag National Forest Wales, neu yn Gymraeg wrth gwrs, Coedwig Genedlaethol Cymru. So by all means, put any comments and photos and such like on Twitter anytime you would like to. Right, be sydd o'n blaen ni prynhawn yma? What's in store? Well, the aim of the event over the 3 days, of course, we were here yesterday and we're here tomorrow as well, is twofold. One is to focus on the views of the people of Wales, so that's you basically, on the development of the National Forest. Felly, dyna chi, wrth gwrs, I gyfrannu, whilst also exploring the benefits of woodlands and trees for all, demonstrating how valuable trees actually are from a social, economic and environmental perspective. And so over the course of these 3 days, we've got these themed sessions lined up, focusing on these benefits. And yes, funny enough, they are called Trees and Communities. That's the topic we're focusing on this afternoon, of course. Then we've got trees and the economy, and then trees for the environment. Cymunedau, yr economi a'r amgylchedd. Nawr, bydd y dair thema yn cael ei darparu drwy 2 waith yn ystod yr wythnos, yn ystod amseroedd gwahanol, wrth gwrs, ac i alluogi gymaint a phosib i'w gweld nhw. Diolch i bawb wnaeth gymryd rhan yn y sesiwn rhwydweithio prynhawn ddoe, os fyddwch chi yna. All three themes will be delivered twice during the course of the event and at different times of the day to enable as many as possible to have access to them. In addition to the session, there was an informal networking workshop yesterday, so thank you if you attended that. Now, for each of these sessions, and this is you need to listen, there are 3 parts. Rhan 1, part 1, which is where we are now. It's an information sharing session with updates on Welsh Government policy and showcase items, which we'll be using this webinar. Felly sesiwn rhannu gwybodaeth ar newyddion diweddara ynglyn â'r prosiect. Rhan 2, part 2, will be a discussion session, and we'll be accessing that through the Zoom meeting link that you'll all receive in the breakout conversation room as part of Eventbox, and I'll explain in a second. Rhan 3, part 3, well, a panel Q&A. I can see our panelists ready and waiting as we speak. I'll be facilitating that later on when we reconvene here in the webinar in the main room, as it were. I'm hoping you'll have some questions for the panelists. Please use the Q&A facility here on Zoom as much as you can, and we'll be keeping an eye on the questions coming in, of course. Felly sesiwn holi ag ateb, a dwi'n wir yn gobeithio gewn ni ddigon o gwestiynau. And again, don't forget to use the hashtag on Twitter. It's National Forest Wales, Coedwig Genedlaethol Cymru. Ac wrth gwrs, mae yna wybodaeth am yn siaradwyr ni, their biographies of the contributors and synopses of their various sessions in the showcase rooms on Eventbox. So feel free to browse these rooms when you can. The main room here is actually being recorded. I can see a little red light. Yeah, it is flashing, as will the Q&A session later on. But the breakout discussion groups won't be recorded. So Eventbox is this superb platform, and it's very easy to navigate. However, you might need a bit of support regarding something. You might get stuck somewhere. Please don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. Don't delay. Go to the lobby of Eventbox. The big word is lobby. Always go back to the lobby if in doubt, and email if you have any problems, info@eventbox.wales. info@eventbox.wales, and box, of course, is BOCS. Adam is there in the ether somewhere waiting. He's the technical expert. If he can't help you, well, I don't think anybody can. Right, nawr, cyn hir, newn ni wrando ar 3 prosiect sy'n mynd i roi syniad i ni o'r fath o waith sy'n ymlaen ar hyn o bryd. Soon we'll have today's 3 showcases for you, and they'll illustrate work that's currently happening. Firstly, yn gynta, let's turn to Welsh Government and a member of the National Forest team to give us an overview of developments so far. He joined us this morning. Rowch groeso, os gwelwch na. Please welcome the Head of Forestry Policy at Welsh Government, James Blatt.
Thank you. Prinandar, good afternoon, everyone. Right, so I'm James Blatt, as Chris mentioned, and I work in the National Forest team in Welsh Government. I'm going to give a brief introduction to the background to the National Forest and an overview of next steps. I'm going to keep it short because this is the fourth time we've run through this presentation. If anybody's had to attend any other sessions, they'll have heard it already. But for those that are new to the session, it's just important that we set out a bit of the background to the National Forest so everybody knows, where we've got to. So next slide, please. Yes, as Chris has already alluded to it in his introduction, the National Forest was an idea, but a commitment in the First Minister's manifesto in 2018, and the First Minister launched the National Forest Programme itself on the 12th of March 2020, so just under a year ago to the day, or just under a year to the day. So the idea is that the ambition for the National Forest is really a forest that extends the length and breadth of Wales. And by planting trees and looking after trees and protecting trees, it's going to help us to tackle the climate change emergency that we announced in 2019. It's going to help us with supporting biodiversity across Wales, helping biodiversity and nature to flourish again. It's going to be there for the people of Wales, so helping us to improve our health and well-being and mental state, which is particularly important during COVID. And it's going to be there as well as for commercial productive opportunities as well, for timber, etc. So there's lots of benefits to a national forest. Next slide, please. So what is a national forest? We're sort of thinking about it at 4 different levels at the moment. So on a local level, it's going to be, as I mentioned, it's going to be woodlands for people, nature and commercial opportunities. We're really keen that it encompasses both urban and rural locations. So it's across Wales, and both woodlands that are in public and private ownership. So everybody needs to get involved. We'd like everyone to get involved in the national forest. It's going to be, we're going to take an outcomes-based approach rather than geographic approach, which I'll come back to in a second. But what that means is, rather than saying the National Forest is in a part of Mid Wales or North Wales or South Wales or bits of all 3, everybody have the opportunity to have a National Forest where they can demonstrate the outcomes that we're looking for. We see the National Forest as sort of a national scale, as an umbrella catalyst for woodland creation. It's getting people to talk about woodland creation at a much bigger scale than perhaps we've done previously. And if there are woodlands out there already that meet National Forest standard, or people are creating woodlands that can meet National Forest outcomes, then they could all potentially be part of that National Forest and help to grow our network across Wales. It's clearly going to be a long-term program. We're talking 20, 30 years, if not a lot longer. And it's going to have multi-level benefits and multi-generational outcomes. And we're sort of think about it in similar terms to the sort of the Wales Coastal Path. It's sort of that national asset, which then comes onto the sort of global scale, which, we're actually creating sort of a proper national forest brand. We've got a logo. We're hoping to create this asset, as I say, which ultimately will hopefully bring tourism into Wales and help us to play our part in fighting climate change as well. So can I have the next slide, please? So just a little announce a little project. So we've been working in collaboration with the National Museum of Wales, the National Library of Wales, and the Royal Commission for Ancient and Historic Monuments to develop a people's collection for the National Forest. As you probably gathered already, we're really keen that people who are involved in the National Forest and involved in the development have their say in the National Forest. So this is an opportunity for people to put forward their thoughts, their memories, their thinking of woodlands, what woodlands mean to them, whether that's through pictures, films, poetry, etc. It's a digital platform. We want it to be sort of like a living time capsule, so this people's platform will develop alongside the National Forest as a whole. The FM's already contributed. There's a link there, so you can see the First Minister's contribution and where you can make your own contributions to that. So it's a really nice little project that we'd like you all to be involved in. Can I have the next slide, please? So I mentioned we're taking a sort of outcomes-based approach to the National Forest. We've been talking to lots of people over the past year through our various conferences and groups to get an idea of what we'd like to get from the National Forest. And we've come up with 6 potential outcomes. They're still work in progress, and we still need to develop thinking behind some of them. but they're things that we'd like to see from National Forest as a whole. So we wouldn't necessarily expect to see every outcome at every woodland that we manage, enhance, or create as part of the National Forest, but we'd expect to see a good number of them. So I'll just quickly run through the 6 outcomes, just give you a bit of a flavour for why they're there. So the first one's around good quality, well-designed and managed resilient woodlands. So clearly we need more woodlands in Wales and good quality woodlands in Wales to help us to sort of tackle the climate change emergency and help support biodiversity in Wales, as well as the many other benefits that woodlands can bring. Mention resilient because obviously we want this woodland to stand the test of time, whether that's in the face of climate change or pests and diseases, that sort of thing. We want the woodlands to be accessible to people, so clearly we want people to be able to visit the woodlands that we're branding National Forest and get the benefits that they can from those woodlands, whether that's for recreation or for employment or learning opportunities. We want communities to be involved in the National Forest. Ideally, this would be as a minimum sort of engaging local communities in the woodlands in their area, whether woodlands are being improved or whether they're being created, planted, and have a say in how they would like those woodlands to be developed. Ideally, this would then lead on to a sort of an ongoing relationship between the communities and the woodland. And in some cases, where appropriate, this could be the community helping to manage the woodland, or schools being involved in the woodlands, so forest schools, that sort of thing. So there's lots of opportunities there, which we'll be talking about as part of the session today. Connected woodlands, so obviously thinking primarily around when people are planting woodlands, managing woodlands, thinking about how they connect to other woodlands in the area for biodiversity, for nature. But also this could be in terms of for people as well. So emotional connectivity woodlands and also physical connectivity, such as, through paths, cycle paths, that kind of thing as well, helping people to use the woodlands. We want the National Forest woodlands to be dynamic, multi-purpose woodlands and trees. This could be a combination of, woodlands that are for people for recreation, but it also could include local level enterprises, people, wood for fires and, local sawmills, up to large commercial timber harvesting businesses, as well as also keep in mind biodiversity as part of that theme as well. So really seeing what we can make out of really good multi-purpose woodlands, delivering lots of outcomes. And then the last one's around woodlands that demonstrate learning, research, and innovation. Again, we'd like the National Forest woodlands to do that a little bit more than perhaps you would get from normal woodlands. So thinking about all the good work that's already going on around the UK and what across the world, and how we can build on that and share that learning with others. So can I have the next slide, please? So hopefully a number of you aware that the Minister for Environment announced the first 14 National Forest sites November last year as part of Climate Week. They're all on the Welsh Government Woodland Estate. They're all managed by NRW, really well managed by NRW, all multi-purpose woodlands benefiting people and nature and our visitors to Wales, and really sort of good example of what we're sort of looking to get from the National Forest going forwards. So that was the first step we announced last year, and that was the first 14 sites, but really we're keen to now to grow those number of sites. So as Gian Marco said earlier, the First Minister announced a new demonstrator project yesterday, where if people outside the Welsh Government Woodland Estate have woodlands that are already really good quality, potentially could be National Forest status already, they can come forward later in the year when we launch the scheme to have their woodlands branded National Forest. And if there's other woodlands that are not quite there yet, but could be with some improvement, again, there'll be some funding made available, which people can bid in for to improve their woodlands, to take them on that journey to get to National Forest status, as well as actually planting new woodlands as well, which could potentially be National Forest. So there's some good opportunities there for us to expand the National Forest across Wales. Can I have the next slide, please? So one of the questions we're often asked is, where is the National Forest going to be? And it's not a question we can answer at the moment because we want it to be sort of developed through a bottom-up approach. But I think where it first started, and this first slide is just, we've got 3 slides, and Erica in our team took people through them in more detail last night. So I'm not going to say a great deal on this. And there was a session last night to talk about these different maps. But we're calling them sort of spatial strategy approaches. It's not that we could probably come up with a better term, but it's just ideas on how we might develop them, how they might organise the National Forest across Wales. It's just ideas at this stage, and we're putting them forward now just to sort of tease feedback out of others and other people to get their views on how the National Forest could grow across Wales. But this first one's very simple. It builds on the idea of like a north to south, south to north National Forest Trail, National Forest Park, picking up some of the exemplar sites, picking up some of the ancient woodlands. This is possibly how this sort of the idea started off. And then if we move on to the next slide, thinking about how we can start to bring in other parts of Wales into the National Forest. So we've got more of a sort of circular sort of circuit route around Wales, which again brings in exemplar sites, ancient woodland sites. It starts to bring in some of the marine areas as well, and linking up with the coastal path in certain places. And then third slide, please, next slide. The next slide is more of sort of a hub and spoke approach. So we've got hubs where we're sort of identifying where there's nice areas of really good quality woodland, and then how we can join that up with other areas and building on things like NRW's area statements and local nature partnership action plans and regional planning approaches using a sort of bottom-up approach. So it's just another way of how we might organise the National Forest going forwards. But these are just ideas at this point, so I stress that. And then I think that's the last slide. So just in terms of next steps before I finish. So as I mentioned, we've got the People's Collection, which we'd welcome people to bring forward ideas for. And there was a link in the slide, which we can perhaps post later for people to access. We've still got the Community Woodland, National Lottery Heritage Fund Community Woodland Scheme open at the moment, which we launched last year with £2.1 million of funding. There's still some funding available. So if anybody has any nice community woodland projects they'd like to put through that, that is still an option. As I mentioned, we have the new scheme that the Minister announced yesterday, which will launch probably early summer, which will give people opportunity to have their woodlands branded National Forest, but also apply funding to improve the quality of their woodlands up to National Forest standard. And then this is all leading up to a consultation. So part of this engagement is leading up to a consultation, a more formal consultation we want to do in the winter this year, to give people more opportunity to comment on things like these maps that I've just shown you and other things, but we'll be developing that over the next few months with taking into account the views that are expressed through these sessions. And there'll be more opportunities to, in the run up to those consultations, there'll be more opportunities for people to comment on our plans and proposals. So thanks for listening, and look forward to the discussions later.
Great, thank you, James. Thank you very much. And I know you're joining us on the Q&A panel later on. Okay, diolch yn fawr iawn. Okay, as I said, I'd like to ask our three special guests this afternoon then, please, to present their individual showcases. Now, yn gyntaf, first, we have a real whirlwind, in my opinion, Louise Tambini. Louise is the Deputy Chief Executive of Keep Wales Tidy, Cadwch Gymru'n Daclus. She leads on delivery of all the charity's community engagement work. She's responsible for a team of staff across Wales who deliver this amazing range of activities, including Carry Cymru, Local Places for Nature, Green Flag, Long Forest Growing Together, and the new National Forest projects, just to name a few. So, Louise, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Whirlwind, I don't think I've ever been called that before. Delighted to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I'm going to run through very quickly a number of projects that Keep Wales Tidy has been running in this past difficult year, but brilliant opportunity and some fabulous pilots we've been trialling, all funded by Welsh Government as part of the National Forest for Wales. Next slide, please. So Keep Wales Tidy has been running 3 brand new community schemes this year. The Tiny Forest, the National Tree Project, and Local Places for Nature. All very different, but all obviously involve communities and trees. Next slide, please. With all of the 3 schemes, we've got a certain range of criteria and site selection criteria. Keep Wales Tidy has really been involved in this work from the community aspect, and we haven't really been getting involved in some of the big, large-scale tree planting projects that perhaps some of the partners have been involved in. We really have been focusing on much smaller scale tree planting projects that are easily accessible for local people. So with regard to all of the 3 projects I'm going to go through, all of the sites have been selected to be very close to where people live, work, and access public services, in places that specifically lack accessible green space and trees. All of the programmes are working across the whole of Wales, and the real focus is on improving people's lives, bringing people together for all of the benefits that James and others have mentioned already, for health, well-being, educational benefit. And really we're trying to engage as many people as possible, no matter where they live in Wales. Next slide, please. So the first project is the Tiny Forest. Now, Tiny Forest is a project that runs across lots of countries in the world, and Keep Wales Tidy has brought it to Wales, and we're absolutely delighted with this project. It's a really, really exciting initiative. So we were really pleased when Welsh Government gave us some money to pilot tiny forest in Wales this year. And we had funding for 5 sites. And we've picked 5 urban locations for all the reasons I've mentioned. So we've got a site in Bridgend, Cardiff, Conwy, Gwynedd, and the Vale of Glamorgan. These forests really are small. They're tennis court size. And the main, there's a lot of preparation involved in the site. So a lot of effort goes into getting the sites perfect before the planting happens. So obviously removing turf, aerating the soil, adding manure, soil conditioners, all of those kind of things to give the trees the best chance of success. And one of the most critical things with tiny forest is it's not just about tree planting, it really is an educational tool. So the forests all have accessible paths through the middle of them. They have outdoor classrooms incorporated into them, and they're fenced off initially purely to protect the trees and to make sure they got the best chance of success. There's a couple of examples there of you can see the paths going in and the ground prep that takes place. The top picture there is Bridgend and the bottom picture is up in Gwynedd. Next slide, please. So it's an interesting method. It's the Miyawaki method. Please don't challenge me on my pronunciation. And the idea is that we create a diverse, multi-layered forest that grows very quickly. So these small sites, that one there is the one in the Vale, you can see they are the size of a tennis court and they're planted with 1,000 trees, which people do ask, you know, why are they so many trees? It's far too small a space for that number of trees. But as I said, it's based on this tried and tested method. And the idea is that by flooding the site with all these native species, all being provided by the Woodland Trust, then the trees, it's almost like natural selection. So the trees that are best suited to that location will thrive. They're planted very close together, obviously. They support each other then as they grow. And I'm really, really excited to see how these forests, you know, grow over the next few years. If you are interested in it, I recommend you looking at YouTube for the tiny forest video, and it'll show a couple of sites in the Netherlands where you can see how quickly the sites grow. With regard to the sites themselves and an education aspect, each site will have local schools. That was part of the criteria. We made sure they were located next to schools and community groups, and those local communities will look after those sites and become tree guardians. So they'll be involved in monitoring, measuring how quick the trees grow, which species you know, survive the best, those sorts of things, and then be involved in the long-term management. So we've done 5 of those across Wales, so 5,000 trees planted just on that one project. Next slide, please. Thank you, Natalie. Yes, all the trees are provided by Woodland Trust. Thank you very much. Great partnership working. The next project is Local Places for Nature, which is a large project, lots of different partners, but specifically around the tree planting element. We have 6 packages in Keep Wells Tidy we were delivering. 4 of those contain trees. Some were very, very small trees, so not really National Forest standard, but other packages then had 100, 200 small whips to plant very small woodland. So again, it's the community engagement element that's really important for this. So we had delivered 500 packages across Wales this year. And as you can see there, the number of trees per site varied, but again, over 5,000 trees were planted by community groups, all at a safe distance, obviously. And again, really looking forward to see how those packages develop over the next few years. Next slide, please. The final project, again, a pilot, is a national project for schools. So we were involved in creating very small forests, one in every local authority area in Wales, and again provided tree packs from the Woodland Trust, the working wood packs. So each school planted 420 trees. So we procured the tools, equipment, the trees, etc., the tools for the children to manage the sites long term, and then also put together a range of resources and workshops for the schools to get involved with. It's small, it was challenging, you know, a lot of schools don't have the space, but that's all part of the criteria for selection. We pick the locations where schools don't have access to green space and try and find sites where they've got enough sort of grass area like that we can then transform into a school forest for all the educational benefits that we've discussed. Next slide, please. So in summary, as I'm sure everyone will discuss, it's been a very challenging year to run new programmes. We're absolutely delighted to have trialled these 3 new tree planting programmes as part of the National Forest for Wales. On the downside, obviously, it's a community tree planting initiative, and we couldn't involve anywhere like the number of volunteers that we hoped for because of COVID restrictions. But on the positive, all of the 3 projects have been set up so there's agreement in place with local communities to manage those sites in the long term, and they've all been provided with guidance packs, resources, workshops, training sessions to be able to manage the sites long term. The amount of interest has been remarkable. I was planting the tiny forest in Cardiff Bay one of the days, and I've literally never been stopped and spoken to so many times by local people. It was remarkable. So much interest in the National Forest for Wales. So we're delighted to be involved and hope it can continue in the future. So just for information, the Local Places for Nature programme will go live for next year in March. So there'll be lots more tree planting as part of that. So anybody who's interested in that programme, please look at the Keep World Tidy website, and there'll be packages available for people to apply for. And we are hoping to extend Tiny Forest and the tree project next year. So we'll be looking for various funding sources to do that. So again, if anybody's interested in a tiny forest or a school forest, then please contact Keep World Tidy. I think it's my final slide now, which has just got contact information. Yeah, there we go. So I'm around all afternoon, happy to take any questions.
Good, thank you, Louise. And yeah, I can attest to that. You and your team, I know, have worked extremely hard under these difficult, challenging circumstances. Challenging is a good word, Louise. So, and again, we'll be seeing you later on for the Q&A this afternoon. As I alluded to earlier on, there is information about all our speakers, all the presenters on the event box lobby page as well. Okay, nesa, mae gyda ni rywun, Amy Andrews. Amy is an anthropologist. I'm not quite sure what that is in Welsh. By background with experience in teaching and project management. She's currently the manager for Coed Lleol, which literally translated is, well, it's local woods, but it's small woods Wales, where she coordinates a wide range of social forestry programs. So over to Amy, and I think you might be joined by Natasha, am I right?
Yes.
There we are.
Diolch. Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting us here today. We're delighted to be part of this National Forest event. I'm here with Natasha, who's our Research and Evaluation Officer, and we work for Coed Lleol, which is Small Woods Wales. It's a national charity, and today we're going to be talking to you about our work here in Wales. And our mission overall is to support and promote sustainable multi-purpose woodlands for the well-being of people and wildlife. And we're really grateful to our 2 main national funders, Natural Resources Wales and the Healthy and Active Fund. And Natural Resources Wales has been supporting us over the last 10 years to look at how health and well-being and woodlands can interact together to help people and wildlife. And we do this through a really wide range of activities. You can see in the photos there that some of our activities around physical health, woodland gym and walking, others are around cooking and nutrition, and conservation work. So we do a really broad range of things. Next slide, please. This is a map of Wales here on the right, and I just wanted to show you that we're doing a really diverse range of projects across Wales, but all of them have a focus on health and well-being. And we're very excited that in this next year, we're going to be running a project funded through the Welsh Government Enabling Natural Resources and Wellbeing grant called Outdoor Health and Green Infrastructure. And this new project has 3 main themes. One is around woodland hubs and actually creating structures and improvements on sites to make them more accessible all year round for a really wide range of people who may have access needs or mental or physical health needs. We want to cater for everybody. Another part of that project is around social prescribing, and we really want to encourage more organisations to utilise the outdoors for health and wellbeing. We want to work with a wider range of partners to promote this. And the third theme is about training and provision, and we're really keen to work with local delivery experts to run the sessions, and we provide training and support to help them in that work. And on the left-hand side of the slide, you can see some of the referral agencies that we work with. There's about 70 different organisations that we work with in the health and social care sector. Some examples are Mawrth Hospital. We ran a programme for the brain injury unit. We've also worked with Haval, running conservation and cooking outdoor sessions. We've worked with Tyddyn Mon, who are a physical learning and disability organisation up on Anglesey. So it's just really wide ranging. Next slide, please. So there are four main themes in all of our work. The first is about improving health and wellbeing, and we feel that everyone benefits from being outdoors, being active in a woodland group session. The staff, the leaders, the participants. We have, before COVID, we had about 700 people attending each year. And in this last year, we've had about 550 participating in our online and outdoor activities. Our second theme is around training and skills development. So we really try to bring together the woodland skills side and the health and wellbeing side to give people the full training experience they need to help people in this outdoor environment. This year, we've got a new qualification called Wellbeing in Nature that we've developed in partnership with a number of training organisations. We're piloting that this spring, so if you'd like to get more information about it, please have a look on our website and get in touch. Our third theme is about improving woodlands, and those improvements can be small or large. So some of the things we do might be a litter pick with the group, but we also are keen to develop pathways and structures to make the woodland more accessible and inviting. And we're going to be running lots of woodland management training this year for participants, but also for all of the team and our partners. And our last theme is around research and evaluation, and we found how important it is to learn from what we do and to research and evaluate it. And Natasha is going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. Next slide, please. So I mentioned that during COVID, we have still had people attending our sessions, despite the fact that we haven't been able to run them outdoors. And it has been a very challenging year, as has already been said. And we had to make some difficult decisions about how we could continue and what we could offer, not being able to be out in the woodland sites. So we decided to adapt our services, and we've been running online Zoom sessions, which are live group sessions, and there's a program there. Please again, have a look on our website if you'd like to join one. We've also been getting everybody to create YouTube videos of all the things that they're interested in nature. We've had about 8,000 views of those videos. That's been amazingly successful. And then we've also offered a nature chat, one-to-one phone befriending service. And again, the case studies and the feedback we've had from that it's really helped as a lifeline to get people through this challenging year. We feel that all of these services together have really reached out to people, but we're really looking forward to getting back outside. We were able to do some real live sessions before Christmas, and we're really hopeful that the announcement tomorrow will allow more groups to start back out in the woods soon. I'm going to hand over to Natasha now to talk to you about the impact. Next slide, please.
Oh, thank you, Amy. As Amy said, I'm the Research and Evaluation Officer for Coed Lleol. That means that I coordinate the evaluation Wales-wide, and I connect to universities to establish research pathways as well. And we're delighted that we had 2 PhD students, actually both of them finishing this year, looking into woodland wellbeing and ecotherapy. And we've also got a new master's student starting looking at the psychology of outdoor nutrition in preschool children. So lots of what we do extends to research areas, and we're really keen to connect with universities as well. But I want to talk a little bit about our visitors from last year. These are some of the statistics that we collected from the evaluation last year and about who our visitors are. As Amy said, we engaged over 700 people last year in face-to-face woodland activities. This was pre-COVID. And interestingly, 51% of those were female and 49% were male. So we're really delighted that we can engage both male and females almost equally in that. The age range of our participants unbelievably ranged from 1 to about 85. And that's because we run family sessions and we also run walking groups in amongst the woodland sessions that run for 6 weeks and drop-in woodland sessions that run all through the year. The participants, 66% of our participants actually lived in areas 1 to 5 of areas of the Welsh Index of Multiple Deprivation. And that was in both urban and rural areas. So we're really pleased that we can reach a really broad range of people. And often these people have quite considerable health needs. So we're delighted that we can offer that opportunity for people as well. We use validated measures to measure wellbeing and physical health for all our participants where we can, using pre and post evaluation forms. And what our evaluation told us last year is that 64% of all of those participants showed increases in wellbeing using the Warwick-Edinburgh mental wellbeing scale as a measure. And that rose to 71% when you looked at just our adult groups. Physical health also saw increases for 43% of our participants, and mainly they were the more sedentary participants, so participants that wouldn't normally do so much exercise and not need support to leave the home. So we're really pleased that we can support those, and often it's exercise by stealth with our groups. It's not direct exercise, it's indirect exercise by doing activities, walking through the woods, doing foraging walks, etc. The other thing, we obviously ask a lot of evaluation questions, and we model them on the NHS's 5 Ways to Wellbeing, at the bottom section there on the screen. And I just wanted to take notice of the middle one, and that was about woodland use. So we're interested to see if we can increase people's use of woodlands through the activities we do. And we found that frequent use of woodlands rose from 34% before they start our groups to about 73% after. And most people said that they would continue this engagement. And that was particularly prevalent in our family groups that we engaged, who saw the woodlands as a kind of new area that they could explore with their children of all age ranges. So we're really happy with the evaluation we had last year. If we can move on to the final slide. We just wanted to talk a little bit about the National Forest and how we see ourselves as perhaps part of this initiative. And we think this plan is absolutely amazing. Planting new woodlands, of course, is only part of the story. Maintaining woodlands is a key part of Welsh Government's aims as well. And we also need to talk about what we're doing in them and how these can benefit communities and the environment. And we think that making sure woodlands are valued, used, and managed longer term is essential for the environment and for people. And that includes improving access to woodland as well, making sure that they're accessible to all. As an organisation, we want to help grow connections to the health sector and the environmental sector through social prescribing to outdoor health. And we've started off by working with health organisations quite closely and developing this, and with the social prescribing network in Wales as well. Also developing training networks that can help to train new leaders and project officers across Wales. If we're having new forests developed, we want to have people working in them, engaging the community and supporting the community to use these woodlands as well. And we'd like to develop woodland hubs across Wales. Amy was talking about that earlier, to use woodlands more for health and wellbeing and community building. And we obviously have a vision to develop and maintain woodlands for healthy woodlands and healthy people. And thank you very much.
Good. Thank you, Natasha, and thank you to Amy earlier on. And thanks for the messages. Some of you have been using this chat facility really well, so thank you for that, for the messages. And any links you want to put on the chat, please feel free to do so. Right, ewn ni mlaen i'r ola sesiwn i, fi'n cadw llygodd ar y clock. I'm a bit conscious of the time. We'll move swiftly on, if we may, to the third showcase, and it's entitled What Coed Cadw Can Offer the National Forest for Wales. And so we welcome, I think, Sophie Thomas here.
Yes, hi guys, thank you for tuning in. I've got a little video to show you first, if Adam wouldn't mind just pressing play on that for me. Thank you very much, Adam. And yes, thank you everybody for tuning in to listen to us today. First, I just want to quickly apologise. I've just had a fleet of diggers ascend outside my house, so I hope the noise isn't transmitting through the microphone there for me and you can hear me okay. But yes, hello everybody, my name is Sophie. I work for Coed Lleol, the Woodland Trust in Wales. And it's great to be here with you today and to share that lovely video depicting a little snippet of what we stand for and what we can offer the Wales National Forest. Just quickly, I wanted to give an overview of who Coed Lleol are in case you weren't aware. Coed Lleol are a charitable organisation that work towards a country rich in native woods and trees for the benefit of people and nature. We do that by working closely with a range of diverse communities, schools, farmers, landowners, and we also work tirelessly to campaign so that trees and woods are at the forefront of the country's plans to reach the net zero target. Our overarching mission really is to protect our irreplaceable ancient woods here in Wales. Ancient woods are our most biodiverse habitats and need protecting because they just cannot be replaced. Secondly, we want to increase the tree cover in our country so that we're sort of more in line with our European counterparts. Currently, we're holding the record for being one of the most depleted nature depleted countries on the continent, and certainly one of the least wooded. So that really doesn't sit well with us. And thirdly, we aim to make our woodland habitats a lot more joined up through schemes like hedges and edges. So that allows nature to thrive and travel across the whole of the country. So with all that in mind, you can kind of see why we're so excited to be part of a conversation around a Wales National Forest. So I'm just going to touch upon a few examples that Coed Lleol are working on right now in Wales. So Adam, if you wouldn't mind just sharing the first picture, please. Sorry, the picture just before that. There you go. So this is one of my favourite parts of the job, really, working with people to actively make a difference through tree planting events like this one. This is obviously at a school, but we do run tree planting events in lots of different places all over the country. Not only are these events a lot of fun and a great way to meet people, but we find that getting folks involved in the act of tree planting really allows for a greater connection with nature and a greater understanding of our roles as stewards of the environment that we share with nature. So we know at the moment there's a real appetite for wanting to contribute to the climate and nature crisis here in Wales, and perhaps now more than ever after the year we've just had. Which is why Coed Lleol and the Woodland Trust offer free tree packs for schools and community projects. So these tree packs, excuse me, contain a variety of native broadleaf trees that will suit a project of any size or scale, really. So where they are wanting to plant a mini forest school classroom or an edible hedgerow, or even just a beautiful avenue of blossom trees to brighten up your street. By using the right tree in the right place ethos, which the Coed Lleol sort of stand and fall by, we'll be able to help with that. So applications for the autumn planting season will go live on our website very soon. So keep an eye out for that if you've got a project that you've got in mind. Next slide, please, Adam. Cheers. So yeah, another community that we enjoy working with are our farmers, and we're all aware of some of the challenges our farmers are facing right now. So part of the plan of our plan involves helping them gain more productivity from their land whilst delivering for nature and the climate crisis at the same time. And we call it agroforestry. So if you picture a traditional rural scene, it may well include farm hedgerows, parklands, a wood pasture, and these are all examples of agroforestry. But agroforestry also includes newer innovative systems like contour planting and silverable cropping, which is a method of growing areas of productive trees among arable crops. Integration of trees and shrubs into farming systems brings a host of benefits for the farmer, including improved soil health, flood mitigation, and often a year-round income as well. So obviously that, coupled with the obvious carbon capture and habitat creation benefits, it makes it kind of a win-win for farming and the environment. Next slide, please, Adam. Cool. I wanted to leave you with this. This is Brynnau in Meath in South Wales, and it's our newest site and our largest woodland creation here in Wales. And it's actually the site where the Wales National Forest Programme was first launched back in March 2020, just before our lives changed due to the pandemic. Brynnau is also a part of a plant initiative, and if you don't know what that is, it's a Welsh government scheme where a tree is planted for every child born or adopted here in Wales. So since that first tree was planted last year, we're well on the way to planting some 150,000 native broadleaf trees at Brynnau. And those trees planted at Brynnau will capture carbon, they'll fight flooding, they'll provide habitat for wildlife, and the woodland creation will also join on to the ancient wood that already exists at the site, the future of which is now protected because of the work of Coed Lleol and the help of its amazing supporters. And what's more, this native wood, rich in wildlife, flora and fauna, and set in the heartland of industrial Wales, will be accessible for free to everybody, including 20% almost of the Welsh population who live within a 20-mile radius of the site. So we really can't wait to introduce you to Brynnau when we open, which possibly next year, fingers crossed. So in answering what can Coed Lleol do for the National Forest of Wales, to me, Brynnau really represents everything a Coed Lleol can offer. Coed Lleol will protect and restore ancient woodlands and everything that relies on it and on those special ecosystems. Coed Lleol will invest in our future and the future of native woods and trees by planting more of the right trees in the right place and making native woods bigger and more joined up. And Coed Lleol will forever give people of Wales and beyond free access to these special places. And all we ask is that you join us in supporting our cause and, well, in any way you can. Which on that note, actually, if you wouldn't mind just sharing the last slide, please, Adam. This is hot off the press, this is, guys. We only dropped this week, so it's an exclusive for you. We've just published our manifesto that we're taking to the up and coming elections. It's on our website at the moment, and really is a roadmap on how we envisage the green recovery for our country. So it's really user-friendly, it's easy to digest, and we'd really appreciate if you could take a look and support it, share it if you agree with what we're trying to achieve through this manifesto. There's loads and loads of ways to get involved in our work, guys. So there's lots of information on the website, which is a link just there. So I'd leave it there for you, and I'm going to be on the live Q&A later on with my colleague Llinos. So if you do have any questions, just pop them in the message box, and we'll do our best to answer them then. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch yn fawr ti, Llinos. Diolch yn fawr. Mi newydd bod o lan o'r amser. Diolch i ti. And I know you're both yourself and Llinos, as you say, is going to be joining us later on in the Q&A. Right, 3 valuable showcases there, and all of the speakers, all of them actually will be on the panel for your questions later on, hopefully just before 3 o'clock. As I mentioned, all the showcases, biogs, there's all kinds of information on the event box page. Okay, so try and make the most of it all. I'm hoping after seeing those showcases, you'll have some questions. They are coming in slowly but surely. So yeah, so again, don't forget to make a note of them as soon as you can. And again, don't forget to tweet using the hashtag. Na fe am y tro, amser am goffi bach nawr, ond pidwch yn rhy bell. Let's stop for a quick coffee. Don't go too far. After the break, we're going to go into part 2 of the session, and it's your opportunity to have your say. So this is important. Please go back, or have a coffee by all means. Please go back to the lobby in event box. Look for the word lobby. Look for and go into breakout conversations. Sesiwn sgwrsio yn Gymraeg. Click onto the appropriate link, and I think it's the 4th one down that says 1355 and the word now. Click on that, and then a green box will appear on the left that says click here to join the Zoom meeting. So simple enough. So back to the event box lobby, breakout conversations. Then it's the 4th one down that says 1355. Click on that, and then click on the green box that says join the Zoom meeting. Now we'll reconvene here now then. Okay, time check. Well, it's nearly 5:02 now, so let's say 5 past. So back here at 5 past. Okay, thank you very much. Diolch. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Croes yn ôl i chi. Do you know, people are really getting excited about Pobl y Coed. It's, somebody wants the theme music written by Woody Guthrie. That's the quality of the conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Right, okay, now at yr holi ac ateb, this is the third and the final part of the session today. Of course, as I said, it's the second of 3 days. We have one more day tomorrow. We've had some fantastic discussions yet again. Now it's time for you to ask your questions. We've already met our panel, of course. So I tell you what, let's all quickly, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, introduce yourselves. Let me put myself on gallery as well before we take some questions. So Amy, first of all, introduce yourself very quickly.
Hi everybody, I'm Amy. I'm the manager for Coed Lleol, Small Woods, Wales, and we do health and wellbeing in woodlands across Wales. Okay, thank you. Whirlwind.
Louise Tambini from Keep Wales Tidy.
Okay, James.
Yeah, James Byatt, Head of National Forest Policy in Welsh Government.
Good, thank you. Sophie.
Hello, Sophie from Coed Cadw, Woodland Trust in Wales.
And your colleague is Chinos?
Hiya. Yeah, I'm Chinos. I'm the Communication and Engagement Manager for Coed Cadw in Wales.
Good, and finally Natasha.
I work with Amy in Coed Lleol. I do the research and evaluation.
There we are. Thank you very much. Okay, so panelists, we do have some questions now. Then, first of all, and bear with me, Epilobia. I'm not quite sure that I know of a small piece of woodland that could do with your help. How do I contact you? Who do they contact? Who should they contact, James?
I guess it depends on the bit of woodland they're talking about. Yeah, it depends where it is, what's required, I suppose. I mean, there is the Community Woodlands Grant Scheme through National Heritage Fund that's available still at the moment, which might be appropriate. Though we're going to launch another National Forest scheme later in the year, which again might be appropriate. Depends on what it is and what they're trying to do.
Can you put a link for a website or something in the chat that Epilobia can maybe get hold of, and maybe that's the first port of call? Or
yeah, maybe if one of my team is my
team are there, but maybe yeah, okay.
I mean, certainly there's the National Forest Wales.gov.wales, National Forest @gov.wales email address, which they can contact.
Yeah, that's probably the first port of call, probably. Yeah. Okay, so we've got John from RSPB Cymru. Is any information available on the National Forest Standard that would show what criteria a site would need? This is a good one. Would need to meet in order to achieve National Forest status. Again, James, is that for you or?
Yeah, it's for me. There's another question below as well. The same question below, I think, as well. And I mean, at the moment, we've got the outcomes, which I ran through very quickly earlier in my presentation. So the criteria would be based on the outcomes that I ran through. So talking about, good quality, well-managed woodlands, accessible to people, community involvement, and then some of the other outcomes we'd potentially be looking for around, research and innovation and learning, that sort of thing. But so we are actively pulling that scheme together at the moment. So when it launches there'll be more information basically in early summer when it launches, but we'll try and feed in information as we go as well, so people can start thinking before that.
Okay,
but there isn't anything at the moment.
Right, Laura, you've asked, there's a chat from a previous session being saved. I think it is. Yes, hopefully it is. Anyway, okay, let's go up there. Yeah, Sean is asking, is any information available on the National Forest Standard? That was you saw.
Yes.
So somebody was asking about churches. Who asked about churches? And is there a pack for churches? Because churches obviously own quite a bit of land. Maybe someone can address that. Let's go then to Kelly. Now, Kelly O'Brien is a very knowledgeable lady. She's got all kinds of things here on the chat. It might take me a while to do that or go through all these, Kelly, but she has to leave in 10 minutes to pick up a grandson anyway. So thanks anyway very much, Kelly, for your contribution. Is amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay, the epilobia, the field that maybe they'd like is half owned by a friend and half owned by a farmer, James. So, and the species are on the farm. Okay, and you've just put Erica has put the National Forest Wales at gov.wales email address there. Okay. Kirsten, if the community get together and want to manage that woodland, they can get information on and examples of how to do this on Llais y Coedwig website. Right, let's go to the Q&A as well, because I think we've got some, yeah, there we are. Right, okay, let me get that out of the way. How mature are the trees in the tree packs provided? Often immature trees are damaged and don't get an opportunity to reach maturity. Is there an opportunity for community groups to become tree nurseries where trees can mature in gardens to be planted out when they are more established? Who would like to take this question? Anybody? No? How mature?
Do you want me to? I
Yes,
can
no.
take an element of it possibly, but I know I've got colleagues on the call that will know far more than I do on some of this as well. So if someone can put something in the chat, that would be valuable.
Okay.
But in terms of the trees, they are whips when we have them from our tree nurseries across the UK, and they're always sourced within the UK, and they come with the appropriate tree guards and so on for the planting. And then with regards to tree nurseries, that's something as an organisation that we're encouraging, but that's a developing piece of work. And I know Llais y Coedwig are involved in similar work with tree nurseries and encouraging that. So who knows where that'll develop to, but we do want to look more into that tree nursery side of things.
Okay, good. Thank you, Chinas. I'm going to come to Amy or Natasha next, I think. Anonymous attendee. How do we make sure it's the right tree in the right place? Who checks this? Does this include the need to consult with communities? Ooh. Natasha, you look interested. Are you going to answer this?
Yeah, I think consulting with communities is essential for that long-term engagement. We're not the experts on planting and planting forests. We tend to be more expert on engaging people with forests long-term. So knowing about which trees plant in which place, I think might be more applicable to one of the other panelists here. Okay.
Natasha, is there an add or?
Yeah, I mean the same as Amy's really, but obviously Small Woods UK are an organisation. They give a lot of advice on trees and what trees to plant and where, and woodland management as well. So it's key to obviously get the right trees in the right place and manage them well, to have a healthy woodlands, not just planting whatever wherever. So it has to have a bit of a knowledge, but also obviously understanding what the community want as well. But I think it needs a combination of the both.
Okay, good, thank you. Sophie, Coed Cadw, we'll come to you then. Where do people get hold of you? What's the best way to get hold of you? What is the best way to get hold of you?
Well, if you take a look on our website, our email address and things are on there. It depends what you want to get hold of us about. If it's about the tree packs, there is a link on the website that takes you to the application process. And just going back to that previous question, the right tree in the right place, that all sort of comes from us wanting to do good and not harm to the environment. So there's a lot going on in our environment that we need to be sort of aware of. So we wouldn't want to, destroy one really good habitat, for example, to make a woodland on that ground and things like that. So that's where that right tree in the right place for the right reason sort of thing comes from that we keep hearing about. But yeah, contact us through the website or through any of our social media channels. We've got Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, so any one of those.
Okay, thank you. Diolch, Sophie. Laura is saying right tree, right place is essential and needs a site visit by a trained advisor, plus consultation of maps and constraints to ensure no other habitats are damaged. That's a good point. Okay. Somebody's asking, our community's part of an, forgive me, AONB. Will they be involved in the National Forest Wales?
Areas of natural beauty.
I knew that. So James, what do you think?
Yes, they will be involved. I'm trying to remember now. I think one of the National Forest sites is already in an AONB. I'm trying to remember which one it is now, but yeah, certainly they will be involved in the whole of Wales will be involved in the National Forest.
Okay. Bridget was in my group. She's in North Powys, I think, and she was telling me that they've bought quite a few acres and are thinking what to do basically with the land. How important is it to use trees of local origin? Should we be collecting seed and growing trees from these? Louise, can I come to you for this? Are you okay with this? How important is it to use trees of local origin? No?
It is important. It will depend on the site, but I'm certainly not the expert on this. This is definitely a Woodland Trust question.
Well, there we are then.
Because we source all our trees from the Woodland Trust, so I just leave it over to them and hope that it's all been done for me.
Nice passing the buck there, Louise. Nice passing the buck. So, who would like to answer that question then, please? Local.
Do you want me to take it, Sophie, or do you want to
go ahead, Linas.
Yeah, absolutely what Louise said. It is important, and all of our Woodland Trust trees, as I said earlier, are UK sourced and grown, well, UK and Ireland sourced and grown, and that is essential, and we do encourage that local provenance. And again, back to the tree nurseries, the more tree nurseries we can get up and running, that local provenance will only get stronger. So it's yeah, it's definitely important to do that when we can.
Okay, right, I'm keeping an eye on the time here. This is a good question. Where are we? Are existing paths and access rights going to be protected? And where they don't exist, will you look to link them to our existing rights of way network? So I presume, James, this is you again.
Yeah, I mean, certainly existing rights of way would need to be protected. And yes, when we're creating new woodlands or improving existing woodlands, then we would be looking to encourage or to create new access, whether that's through rights of way or permissive access, that sort of thing. So it'll be a really important part of the National Forest, and as I said earlier, connecting it up together as well, so we can ultimately create the First Minister's ambition for a National Forest that extends the length and breadth of Wales that he could potentially walk across. So it will be really important.
I mean, it's going to take a while, obviously, but be honest with me, how realistic is it going to be to walk through this amazing forest from North to South Wales? It's not going to take, be realistic.
It might not be walking under trees the whole way. I mean, hopefully we will create this path, but some of it may be a path with a hedge next to it, and other bits might be a cycle path, and some of it will be walking under trees. I mean, it's what we need to work this out over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but
right.
We acknowledge it may not be all under tree canopy all the way. So I suppose is the short answer. But
well, not all the Wales coastal path is along the
no, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, and finally then, there is an interest in the old tramways, and hopefully this can also be included. That's from Sian. Sian's got a lot of questions as well. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I think unless there are any other questions, or anybody would like to ask a question, Louise, just remind us then again the kind of things that are going on at the moment. Can you explain roughly about Cadwch Cymru, maybe?
Well, Cadwch Cymru's more litter and waste project, Chris, to be honest.
Oh, fair enough, right, okay.
I think as far as National Forest, there are opportunities, like I mentioned. So if anybody's interested in some of the smaller, more urban tree planting initiatives, then keep Wales Tidy, drop us an email. Keep an eye out on our website, as I said, for the Local Places for Nature programme, which is going live in a few weeks' time. Yeah, and any of the things I've mentioned, just drop me a line and I can help, because we will be looking for new sites next year.
Good. Okay. And Tom Jenkins is saying forest is not just trees. There's a big thing. What exactly is a forest and what is a woodland? So there's all kinds. That's a good point. and Coed Cymru work with the tree planting with the farmers as well, Kirsten is saying. Okay, right, okay, well, I'm going to bring that to a close if I may. We do have a little bit of a couple of videos. So thank you again, panelists. Thank you for your questions, everybody. Again, apologies for rushing it a little bit. That's it, really. Diolch I chi gyd am gymeryd rhan. It's been an intense day again. Let me quickly remind you of the other sessions we have for you. Then tomorrow morning, Bore starting at 10, we'll be focusing on the environmental benefits of the National Forest for Wales, and then followed by trees and the economy, I think, in the afternoon. Again, there are all kinds of information on the event box main page. Cyn I ni fynd, i ni'n mynd i chwarae dau fideo bach I chi gan Iolo Williams. Iolo Williams, you know, as a presenter and activist, a very passionate man. I've known Iolo for a long, long time, and he is really, really passionate about this kind of thing. So stay with us. We're going to play you a little video, once in Welsh and once in English before coming back.
Mae yna rhywbeth hudolus am goedwig. Fel un gyda natur, maen nhw'n dda i'r enaid. Da ni ddim yn teimlo yn unig nag ar goll, ond yn gysylltiedig â'n gwreiddiau Celtaidd a chwedlau o'r Mabinogi. Mae coedwigoedd yn cyfoethogi ein bywydau mewn cymaint o ffyrdd. Bydd Coedwig Genedlaethol Cymru yn cysylltu ein coetiroedd hynafol a newydd, yn dod â diwylliant ein gorffennol a'n presennol I fywyd, I ddathlu Cymru fel gwlad wedi ei chyfoethogi gan ein coetiroedd. Dim plannu coedwig ydy'r cynllun, ond plannu syniad a'i wylio'n tyfu dros genedlaethau. Mae o'n syniad fydd yn siapio ein gwydnwch fel cenedl yn y dyfodol, yn creu cryfder drwy gydbwysedd ac yn dylanwadu ein hamgylchedd, ein cynefin a'n bywydau, yn ddiwylliannol, yn economaidd ac yn gynaliadwy. Yn cynhyrchu ffyniant masnachol trwy greu ymwelwyr, diwydiant a swyddi. Byddwn yn adfer, gwella a chreu coetiroedd a chynefinoedd mewn ffordd gysylltiedig ar hyd a lled Cymru. Wrth gymryd yr agwedd, y goeden iawn yn y lle iawn, ochr yn ochr a safonau a chanllawiau coedwigaeth y Deyrnas Unedig, bydd ein Coedwig Genedlaethol yn sefydlu tirweddau a chynefinoedd cryf, cynaliadwy, wedi gwreiddio'n gadarn I amddiffyn ein gwlad mewn nifer o ffyrdd o effeithiau newid yr hinsawdd I lifogydd. Mae ein Coedwig Genedlaethol yn ymwneud â mwy na choed yn unig. Mae'n ymwneud â chwarae rhan mewn tyfu a rhannu Cymru mewn dyfodol sy'n dduw ac yn ffynnu am genedlaethau I ddod. Eich Coedwig Genedlaethol chi ydy hon. Byddwch yn rhan ohoni. There's something magical about forests. At one with nature, they're good for our soul. We feel not alone, not lost, but connected. Connected to our Celtic past and tales from the Mabinogion. Forests enrich our lives in so many ways. The National Forest for Wales will connect our ancient and new woodlands, bringing our past and present culture to life, celebrating Wales as a land enriched by our woodlands. The plan isn't simply to plant a forest, it's to plant an idea and watch it grow for generations. It's an idea that will shape our future resilience as a nation, creating strength through balance and influencing our environment, our habitats and our lives, culturally, economically and sustainably. Will generate commercial prosperity by creating visitors, industry and jobs. We will restore, enhance and create woodlands and habitats in a connected way across the length and breadth of Wales. Taking a right tree, right place approach alongside UK forestry standards and guidelines, our National Forest will establish strong, sustainable landscapes and habitats, firmly rooted to protect our country in a number of ways, from climate change effects to flooding. Our National Forest is about more than just trees. It's about playing a part in growing and sharing a future Wales that's alive and thriving for generations to come. This is your national forest. Be part of it.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn, Iolo. Okay, final thought. Well, I was just going to come to Louise, but I see you've just answered the lady talking about tiny forest in Cardiff. So thank you for that. Thank you very much. A Sian, chi'n berffaith iawn. Cyfych bod yn bwysig i gynnwys yr iaith Gymraeg ym mhob agwedd hefyd. Hopefully the Welsh language obviously would be included in everything that Welsh Government do. It obviously will, but hopefully with all the other organisations as well. So that'd be fantastic. Diolch o galon, Sian. Right, that's it, everybody. We're a little bit early, but it doesn't matter. Diolch Iolo. Thank you all again to our contributors. Thank you to the panelists. Hopefully we'll see some of you at the two sessions tomorrow. The first one starts at 10, of course, with Trees for the Environment. Diolch o galon chi. Enjoy the rest of the day and have a nice evening. Stay safe. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Hwyl.